Hello and welcome to the UNDraftathon 2023. We'll have people hopping in and out all night, many more people to come. But for now, at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, it is myself, Kyle Larson. You can find me on Twitter at KL_fantasy. And I am joined by the one and only Fantasy Dukes. How are you doing?
What's going on, man? Couldn't be more excited. We've been waiting so long for this. It feels the same every year. Like the lead up is just, it can be like pulling teeth sometimes hearing these takes. You just want to slap people, honestly, sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I just can't wait for these landing spots. Yeah, man, I'm pumped. Get these guys in here and get this conversation going.
Day one tonight, obviously, so we get the best of the best off the board. Truly, for me, the least exciting day. I mean, I'd rather watch, 200 some odd no names get drafted than 31 great players. Like, who cares about great players?
I think day two is the sweet spot for me. That's when you really get a lot of the running back landing spots, some of those middle tier wide receivers, and most of the wide receivers. We're probably going to see 3, 4 maybe today. I'm guessing Zay Flowers and JSN are probably locks for round one. Probably Quentin Johnson too. Addison's right there on the border for me. I don't know if he's an early 2 guy or not.
Josh Downs.
So, yeah, I mean, day 2 is definitely where a lot of those fantasy implications are going to be answered. So that's what I enjoy the most. But, I mean, this is kickoff night, It's like now we're not going to be having these conversations anymore, and especially as a Colts fan. This is a pretty important draft. Yeah. We'll see if it's unfortunate. I think our fortunes are going to be heavily influenced by whatever happens here tonight.
You're gonna get Paris Johnson.
I mean, I don't think so. But that might be better than taking Will Levis.
I don't think Paris Johnson eats his bananas with the peel on.
I looked it up, and apparently there is some health benefits to that.
That's what everybody says.
Good for, I guess, preventing cancer or something, but you're going to get cancer somewhere or another. Banana peel is not going to stop the cancer from coming.
Okay, well, let's keep talking about landing spots and how many of each position are going to come, and we'll do that by doing a quick mock draft. Just because we expected more people to be here, but we're just chilling, so we're gonna have fun.
Yeah, I figured we just can throw it back and forth, and then once anybody jumps in, just kind of put them in the rotation.
For sure. We'll skip trades. But good old Panthers. I think this one's like brutally honest at this point. I mean, I'm expecting the tweet to come in pretty soon that the Panthers are going to select Bryce Young, so we'll start there.
Makes sense. All right, so here's where it gets weird. There's noise that they're going to forego quarterback, and I kind of buy it because it's the Texans, and best player available would be Will Anderson. So let's send him to Houston.
Case Keenum, Texans starter 2023. Put it in the tank for Caleb Williams next year. I mean, why not?
Maybe they look at like a day 2 guy. Maybe they get like a
Hendon Hooker.
Could be.
Or Jake Haener.
Early second round. Haener. Yeah, Haener's a name. Maybe like a late day 2 or early day 3. I'm not sure where he's projected to go, but I've heard good things about Haener.
He's pretty much consensus QB6, but like nobody knows when that 6th QB is going to come off. Yeah. For the Cardinals, I think they're not going to be happy picking at 3rd. I think they will trade. They don't need a quarterback, obviously. I mean, Jalen Carter's a good player, but like, is he worth it? is that's something they want to do. But I think just for the sake of this, they'll listen to their quarterback Kyler Murray, and they'll take Paris Johnson Jr., the tackle out of Ohio State, to protect his blind side.
Okay. All right. I haven't seen him mocked there a lot, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, supposedly the rumor is Kyler, wants them to draft him. He wants an offensive lineman, and he wants Paris Johnson. So
Okay.
I suspect they'll trade back and take Paris Johnson, but no trades. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So he could absolutely end up there, but like you said, it probably won't be at that spot. I definitely think that's the most likely pick to get moved. All right, so now we've got the Colts on the clock here. This is my dream scenario. The Cardinals stay put. Houston goes defense. Now the Colts have their pick of 3 of the top 4 remaining quarterbacks. Let's just throw one of those names out now. We're not taking Will Levis in this scenario. Not while I'm the GM, not on my watch.
this stream is going to go so great when Will Levis goes 4 and Dukes has to sit here through 27 more picks.
I'm setting it up for an epic disaster, but we're just going to press on as if that's not going to happen later, even though it probably will, and I'm going to be very sad. But let's go CJ Stroud, no matter what.
I had my finger over the button. I just had a feeling. Seahawks at 5. I bashed Jalen Carter just so I could not pick him at 3, but he seems like the pick at 5. So Jalen Carter to the Seahawks. It's been popular in the mocks. I think it makes sense. So if they're not going to go quarterback, I think it's Jalen Carter.
Yep, makes a ton of sense. He's arguably the best defensive line prospect we've had, or interior defensive line prospect we've had. I guess they've been saying since Ndamukong Suh. So it would surprise me if he gets out of the top 5, even with the off the field questions.
I remember there was so many issues though with his pro day, he looked gassed, he doesn't have stamina, which I don't know. It's the same thing we heard of Jordan Davis, so I don't know.
Yeah. It would be more of a concern, I think, if teams talked to him and didn't feel comfortable that he was honest with them about things, But if you're a little out of shape and you're honest about it, I just haven't been working as hard as I should be. That level of talent to me is we'll get you in here, we'll get you back in shape, and it'll work out most likely. But we're moving on to the Lions now, and a guy I've seen mocked to the Lions a lot that I believe is a perfect fit is Devin Witherspoon, and that's just because of the way he plays. He has that kneecap biting attitude, right? He's a guy that he gets in there. He's gonna battle you one-on-one and take it personally, and I really like him. He's just a tough physical dude. Not necessarily. Dunk wants us to acknowledge him. Hey, aren't you supposed to be playing the trumpet right now? Yeah. And by the way, Kyle told me first, Dunks, that you were playing trumpet for a Shrek live show, and he told me it's actually a SpongeBob live show. And I thought, oh man, Shrek would be so much better. But anyways, Devin Witherspoon bites kneecaps.
I think that's a very common pick for the Lions, and I think you're right. And on stream right now, I'm going to put money on him to go 6.
Okay.
$5
I don't
right
necessarily think he's the most talented corner, but he just
I don't either, actually.
It's what they want to do.
Michael is playing SpongeBob, but he has played Shrek before.
I'm impressed.
Impressive list of musicals.
By the way, when I think SpongeBob and trumpet, I immediately go to that clip of all the, SpongeBob's got the
mayonnaise in his
And then they play it to like a Drake song, and it fits perfectly every time.
The Raiders up next at 7. Could go Will Levis. I think they're going to go quarterback. I don't think it's going to be Will Levis. I'm going to pick Anthony Richardson.
Okay. I think that would be very smart for them to take Anthony Richardson if he's there at 7.
I think they're hoping for Stroud, but obviously the Colts have him here, so.
Yeah. So this scenario that we're playing out now seems very logical, and that's not how the draft works. So Stroud will be gone probably before them both, or Levis will probably be gone before both Richardson and Stroud, because that's just how the draft is. But now we've got the Falcons. So a lot of people like Bijan Robinson to the Falcons here. That's not necessarily what I would do if I was them. I think they still need some help in their pass catchers. And nobody's really talking about this, but JSN to Atlanta makes a ton of sense to me because they don't have a guy like him. They've got a big body tight end that can move, Kyle Pitts. And then Drake London outside is another big body guy, but they don't have anybody working the safeties and linebackers from the slot. And JSN can absolutely do that. He's got the best quickness in this draft, sure hands, incredible awareness about where the ball is. He's my favorite wide receiver in this draft, and I think he's a top 10 player. So let's give him to the Falcons at 8.
I think personally that Bijan Robinson will make it past pick 8. And I think as great as he is, as good as he is, it'd be a mistake to take him this high.
Fair.
That's just personal opinion. But we'll see what happens. Chicago, this one's pretty common in the mock drafts, I'll say, and it feels right. So we're going to take Peter Skoronski to the Bears, staying in town from Northwestern to the Bears.
Yep, makes sense to me. Give Fields all the help he can get. They already helped out their wide receiver core, so that's a good pick. Now the Eagles.
Will Levis.
Actually, this is where I'm going to go ahead, and you said it would be a mistake, but I just 30 minutes ago was watching Bijan talk about how fun it would be to play next to Jalen Hurts in the same backfield. And then I think he got adopted. I'm not sure if anybody else saw that, but yeah, he was adopted by Kirk Herbstreit, apparently. I don't think any paperwork got filled out. I'm not sure if that's official, but there was at least a verbal agreement for Kirk Herbstreit to adopt Bijan Robinson. That was on television. Anyway,
I'm lost, but welcome to the stream. The very unprepared and not totally sure if he has his sound on, Justin Mandero at jman_ff on Twitter. The mic's muted, but he's trying.
You're right. The mic is, in fact, muted. I didn't want to just jump in here with 3 kids in the background screaming at the top of their lungs. So.
Well,
I wanted to make sure I was at least prepared for that.
We've got one kid screaming into the mic all night, and that's me. So we'll keep it moving. We're just doing a little mock here, just because nobody was here, so we wanted to do something enjoyable.
Yeah, Dukes and Kyle, I need you guys to both jump off this Bijan to Philly process. Because as a Cowboy fan, I can't handle it. So let's make sure that does not happen tonight.
Do you want him in Dallas? Or do you just not want him in Philly?
I mean, I definitely don't want him in Philly. Would definitely love him in Dallas. I just don't think he'll get that far. I'm hoping that the Falcons do their job and take him. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's a scary prospect to put arguably the top offensive player in the draft on the second best offensive team in the NFL.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, right, is that the Eagles don't have to go Bijan there because they will have a shot at Jahmyr Gibbs later, right? And at that point, you're splitting hairs with whether or not either one of those guys is going to be able to make the Eagles offense significantly better. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of my thinking was in line with I think what a lot of people are saying, and that it feels like a luxury pick for the Eagles. They don't really have a need there, so that was at least the way I was thinking about it.
Has Howie Roseman ever picked in the first round and not picked a offensive or defensive lineman or quarterback? Like, I mean, the dude loves the front seven.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't even realize this was on the screen, but I mean, Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, but Andre Dillard, Derek Barnett. Like, I mean, the dude loves to draft linemen.
I mean, we still have Tyree Wilson on the board here in this scenario. Do you think that they would be thinking about Tyree Wilson at 10 if he was there?
Yeah, I mean,
possibly.
I think Tyree, Nolan Smith, I think are all viable options at this spot for Billy. They could also just go offensive line, knowing that at the very least, Kelsey is going to be gone soon. Their offensive line is getting older. I think they're, like everybody else, is hoping that Jalen Carter for some reason falls. But just listening to NFL Network on NFL radio and Sirius XM, there's reports that teams are now trying to trade up into the top 10 to be able to get Carter. So the likelihood is he won't be there. But,
yeah, I can definitely see that happening if he starts to slip a little bit. By the way, Dunk wanted to point out Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor were both first-round picks.
And wide receivers.
Yeah.
That is true. Justin, obviously, you're just hopping in. I scrolled up on the left side so you can see how this has gone so far.
yes.
I got the Titans pick. I don't want to reach on a wide receiver. I don't want to reach on a lineman, and I don't want Will Levis, so I'm taking Christian Gonzalez. Corner's kind of a secondary need. I mean, I think tackle's the very, very obvious one. Quarterback second after that, and wide receiver. But we have maybe one good corner, so we'll pair him with Christian Gonzalez and move on.
Yeah, I think that's a solid pick for Tennessee there.
In between picks here, we're going to welcome another person to the show, the Godfather himself.
Our fearless leader.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
What's up, Chuck?
I'm good.
Chalk, we're chilling. We're doing a little mock draft while we were waiting on you guys. We got through 11 picks. I think we'll probably just call it here and move on to some other stuff. But
no, you guys can keep going. I'm happy to listen. I'm just kind of
maybe if
I'm not much of a mock drafter, to be honest. Like I don't do the NFL mocks. I don't know enough.
I think we should get through the round. We can pick up the pace a little bit.
Pick up the pace. All right. Dukes, you want to go for Houston?
Yeah, so I earlier had Houston taking not a quarterback. So now, because it's the Texans and we both hate them, give them Will Levis.
Woo! The Packers need a wide receiver or a quarterback, but there's no quarterbacks left. They have Christian Watson. I'll give him Jordan Addison. Probably he's a different wide receiver than Watson, smaller, while Watson is the big guy. But they'll stretch the field together really well, I think. Patriots. I'll take that, Dukes.
I didn't realize Justin jumped out. Patriots, probably also looking at wide receiver. Zay Flowers has been linked to them often. So let's go with Zay there.
Little wide receiver run. The New York Jets here at 15 just got Aaron Rodgers, have, Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard. The offense is there in terms of weapons. Breece Hall, obviously. But let's get old Aaron Rodgers a little bit more help with a lineman, and we'll take Broderick Jones out of Georgia to play tackle for them.
Yeah, the Jets. I have a buddy that's a Jets fan, and he wants Skoronski. Obviously,
Good luck.
Yeah, probably not going to be there, but he's thinking the same thing. They need a tackle. All right, so we got the Commanders here. This is interesting. Let's see what needs do they really have? Interior line.
While you think, I think Duncan here is possibly right. I mean, 15 picks and no wide receivers. It seems unlikely just because Green Bay, New England are there.
I can't.
The Titans are there.
JSN gets past Green Bay, New England there.
How is Green Bay going to take a receiver in the first round after all these years?
Yeah,
that's why it's so beautiful. That's why it's so beautiful.
That's why
it's a troll job, man.
Gutekunst gets his final little irk at Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so you know what? The Commanders could use a tight end. Let's give them Michael Mayer.
Michael Mayer over Dalton Kincaid. I think the NFL might agree with you. I personally don't agree with you at all when it comes to fantasy. But
for fantasy purposes, give me Kincaid all day. I think Myers still got some ability as a pass catcher. He's just more of a complete player.
Yeah, he just has to be Zach Ertz to hit for fantasy. And, Zach Ertz is an outlier.
Am I wrong? But did Meyer have, an issue with drops? I don't know, his catch percentage or something? I don't know. I think I could be wrong, but I felt like there was something about catch percentage.
I'm not sure about that. I don't think
We can find it.
From everything I know about Meyer, he's about as clean as a prospect can be. His athletic numbers just aren't off the charts.
Yeah. He was very, very productive. A top 2 tight end in all of college football. But I don't think drop rate 5.3%, tied for 83rd. I think he's fine. It's not great, but it's not horrible. It's not good, really. It's okay. But yeah.
That might be a bit of a reach there. I think they probably have other needs. They probably need to take a lineman or something.
Everybody always needs to take a lineman. And speaking of the Steelers, they're screwed. I mean, that division has Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson, and they have Kenny Pickett. But let's pretend they have some hope, and we'll give Kenny Pickett an offensive tackle. I think Darnell Wright fits their scheme pretty well. Great run blocker. Will clear some lanes for Najee Harris and help Kenny Pickett as much as he can.
I've heard good things about Wright. Anytime somebody mentions that one of these projected early players that play offensive line has a mean streak, they usually end up being a good player. So I like guys like that. So I have a feeling that Darnell Wright's going to be just fine in the NFL. Okay, we got Detroit now. Find you
another kneecap biter in here.
What's that?
I said find you another kneecap biter in here.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking going offense here because
you can bite defensive players' kneecaps.
Or just bite the style of Jamison Williams because they need another guy that can do that. But what do we have on the board here? I mean, honestly, I think they could afford to just wait and get like a Jalen Hyatt later to fill that role. I don't necessarily think they need to do that now. Let's go tight end again. Let's go Dalton Kincaid.
Kincaid, an interesting fit, can provide some of that speed in a different form. Obviously, not as fast as Jameson Williams or Jalen Hyatt, but faster than the linebackers that'll be covering him for the most part.
I will say there's another player there that I do like for them. Kalijah Cansey is a their type of player, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. Chalk, Tampa
Yo.
Bay resident expert. What do they need?
Who's on the? They need everything. They need a tank.
Are they
I
going
feel
to take
like-
Hendon Hooker?
I feel like rebuilding that line probably not a bad idea. On either side of the ball, to be honest, I don't know who's best available, offensive line or defensive line, but I just given that they're kind of in a rebuild, I feel like it's better just kind of build from the inside out right now. I think Tristan Wirth's got extended or got his option picked up. But I think they lost Donovan Smith, and who was pretty much trash anyways. I think they got to rebuild the line. And I don't want to. I saw some mocks where they took I think Hendon Hooker maybe or Anthony Richardson. Like I don't see how Anthony Richardson would slip, and I saw maybe potentially they trade up for him, but I'd hope that they wouldn't. But at the same time, I don't know if they're going to be bad enough to get Caleb next year. There's some really bad teams already.
Yeah.
So for them to like try
Baker's
to get
not horrible, and they still have
Exactly.
Evans and Godwin.
yeah, I feel like they'd be like
D.
good enough to like get into like the top 10-ish and not the top 5 or top 3 picks, you know. So
Yeah. Well, not many offensive linemen left. I don't want to go interior defense because of Vita Vea. So we'll take an edge here. Tyree Wilson is way down on the board on PFF for some reason, so we'll get him at 19, even though
Tyree Wilson, yeah, I think he's a pretty good fit there. Actually, yeah, that's a good pick. I mean,
he's definitely a guy who's been projected by Vegas to go way earlier, but
yeah, and they're
PFF doesn't like him.
The Bucs are a mess now. I mean, with Brady and I just the fact that they're like, you know, cap strapped, just terrible all around. I think, but hey, we got a championship out of it, so I guess I can't right, just cashed out, got something.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like one of two ways you go nowadays, right? It's like kind of what the Jets are doing right now. They're going that same direction. What the Rams just did. They're just trying to buy a title. Hey, that's one way to do it. So yeah, Tyree Wilson's a guy that I've seen in some mocks at Houston, number 2.
Yeah.
So it's very weird that they have him all the way down the board there. And another guy that they have pretty far down their board, but he is at the top of the list here, is Nolan Smith. I don't think the Seahawks pass on guys with those kind of traits. So if he's there, they would take him.
Seahawks are doubling up on Georgia defensive linemen in this mock. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. Quite the combo at Georgia. It could probably work in the pros too. Chargers up on the clock here. Wide receiver, big need. Keenan Allen probably close to done with his career. Linebacker, corner.
You see that Keenan Allen was on The Masked Singer, so he's already trying to do entertainment. Yeah, he was.
Did not see that. Was he any good?
He was actually not bad, actually, to be honest. He was like the gargoyle character, and it's like all the athletes kind of do it in the off season now. Gronk did it, a few years back, and you could tell he was a football player, just like all the clues and all that. It's something I watched with my wife. But I would have never guessed it's Keenan Allen. I mean, he wasn't like great, but I mean, he wasn't bad. I've seen a lot worse.
I couldn't imagine that you sign up for a show like that if you just have a terrible voice.
Oh, dude, there's definitely people that do, man.
There are.
There's definitely people do. Yeah, man.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, you're just like, dude, like, what are you doing? And it's like, the people that can't sing, they try to rap, and like they're even worse at rapping.
Oh,
So it's
no.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah, everybody thinks they can rap. Everybody.
Yeah,
thinks
man.
they can rap.
Yeah. That show is kind of a train wreck just in general. I mean, you got all the wash ups that are hosting it. So me and my wife just watch it like, every so often. We'll have some drinks and just talk shit.
I've never seen it, but it sounds fun.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
fun, but I mean, it's a train wreck, man. You have,
I think I watched like the first episode ever, like after the Super Bowl one year, just because it was on.
yeah, it's a train wreck,
Gosh.
man. You got like
Yeah,
Nick
it
Cannon
really is.
hosting it. You got Jenny McCarthy, right? I mean,
Didn't
she's hot,
AB
but she's
go on
like,
something like
Ken
that?
Jeong.
yeah, Ken Jeong. It's like Nicole Scherzinger from Pussycat Dolls and Robin Thicke. So they're like just pretty much all washed up celebrities.
Robin
Yeah,
Thicke.
just nobody that knows how to judge singing.
No, dude, exactly, man. Just like cringe, man. It's pretty cringe.
Perfect.
Robin
That's what TV
Thicke, you got like Nick Cannon, and they always make like Nick Cannon like dad jokes or like how many kids he has. Like they literally joke about that like every episode. And it's supposed to be like a family show. I'm like, dude, this is pure cringe, man. Anyways,
Oh, Nick Cannon. Nick
I
Cannon.
derailed your mock.
Once his next kid was Taylor Swift. Anyway, Chargers take Deontay Banks, the cornerback out of Maryland. Dukes, you can pick for the Ravens here. Obviously, just locked up their quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. So the Ravens are not making this pick. This is going to the Cardinals.
Oh,
But that's
There
not
it
we
is.
can't do that in this scenario. So let's look at the wide receivers. Who's
Wait. Let me see if I can do it.
Quentin Johnston. That's the type of
that's-
guy that
that's
they-
interesting.
Force it.
they
All right.
okay.
The Arizona Cardinals are on the clock.
Oh, there you go. Breaking news from Dukes himself.
Actually, somebody said this and it sounded good in the group chat, so I just went with it. But okay, so now I'm picking for the Cardinals. I really like Kalijah Cansey. The last time an undersized interior defensive lineman came out of Pitt, it's Aaron Donald. He's now the best player in the NFL. Obviously,
The narratives are
I
flowing.
don't expect this guy to be Aaron Donald, but he is a dog. He's got a high motor. He's just one of those hardworking dudes that just knows how to get after it. They need guys like that on defense. They lost Watt, so Cansey to the Cardinals.
Dukes, I think you've watched too many Jim Irsay videos. You're starting to sound like him.
I was just watching the last few days. I've just been cramming for this stream, just like making sure I know all the defensive prospects because I'm just a fantasy guy. I don't care.
Next one of us.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man.
But yeah, I wanted to be as prepared as I could be.
I'm going to do it for the Vikings. I'm reaching. Hendon Hooker.
Yo, my
Replacing
guy.
Mr.
I like
Kirk
it.
Cousins.
Why not?
It's
Why
just
not?
cheaper Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Hendon Hooker got that sneaky Konami, man. He put up over 600 rushing yards. Like he got.
He won't have it next year if he plays.
Yeah, but
Coming off the ACL, but
By the way,
But still, though, I mean, he still has like that sneaky upside there. It's
Yeah.
old, but I mean, who cares? It's quarterback. Quarterbacks can play till like 35.
I can't imagine a better situation for Hendon Hooker. He can sit a couple years. He's got the best wide receiver in the NFL waiting to play with him. That makes a ton of sense to me. That's a good pick.
Yeah, I mean, even if he has a couple of fantasy relevant or NFL relevant years, I mean, it's still awesome, for him. Someone like him,
Yeah, and we talk all the time like he's old, but he's going to be 27 by the time he starts. That's in NFL terms. He's still got like 8 years of prime ahead of him, right?
Yeah, as a quarterback, he's not playing running back position or even wide receiver. Wide receivers, they play till like they're 31, 32, 32. I mean, we talked about Keenan Allen.
36 right now.
and
Yeah.
I think he's the type of guy who's just so accurate that he'll succeed in an old age.
Yeah,
Guys like Tom Brady, guys like Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they make their money because they're so accurate.
exactly. He has good decision making, good processing, and there's something to be said. I mean, of the players, especially quarterbacks, that have a good amount of career starts under the belt already, right? Know how to process coverage, whether it's like, audible or disguise or not. Like, I mean, look at Purdy. Purdy, he came in NFL ready. I mean, granted, I slept on Purdy, but when you really look at kind of the intangibles or the reasons why he succeeded, other than being an offense that kind of caters to like quarterbacks, I mean, he kind of had it, right? He had the ability to process. He had the high IQ. And Hendon Hooker is that type of player. Who was I listening to? I was listening to like Ben Gretsch and Sean Siegel the other day on their pod, and they talked about how he played in a gimmicky offense, but like he still produced. Like it doesn't matter if you play in a gimmicky or a good offense. Like you still have to make the throws, right? You still have to be able to put the ball in the spot at the right time, and Hendon Hooker did that.
I hate the word gimmick so much.
Especially as a Tennessee fan.
I didn't know getting your best players open was a gimmick. I think that's just good play calling.
Well,
that's a fair point.
Eliminating half the field is a bit gimmicky.
They got open. Anywho,
I will say it's a great idea to do something like this for the Vikings. It's very Packers-like. They've had a lot of success with that, so I really like that pick for them.
I mean, and you put Hendon Hooker with Hawkinson and JJ and Osborne, right? Like, you're just putting him in a situation to succeed. I mean, you have Justin Jefferson, right? You just throw it to Justin Jefferson. You got KJ Osborne, who, right, could play, kind of that stretcher role, play outside.
And you got their second round pick.
Yeah.
Whatever wide receiver that ends up being.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's a pretty good deal, man. I like that.
Dukes, you want to pick for our fellow AFC compatriots here?
Does Justin want to jump in for Jacksonville?
The dog sure does.
Yeah, you hear that? I'm sorry. This is a wild house in this household here. I'll go turn him down in a second.
There's no players for him though.
Ultimately, for me, I think the news of potentially Cam Robinson being suspended they could go offensive tackle here, but I think defense is a big piece for them. I think Joey Porter falling could be the spot here. But as you can see from my Sooner red color back there, I'd love to see Anton find himself into the first round.
All right, where are we going? Which one?
I'm going to probably go Joey Porter here. I think ultimately Cam Robinson's suspension is only going to be a couple of weeks. It's not going to be the full season or longer. So I think ultimately defense is the bigger spot.
I personally think Porter's a little overrated. I like the other corners more, but I do agree with the position for sure.
Yeah, I will say I heard some noise that Porter could slip out of the first round. And Forbes is undersized, but I heard a lot of people like him.
He got that dog in him.
Okay, so I'm picking for the Giants. I definitely think they need an offensive weapon. Help Daniel Jones out. Let's look at the wide receivers. Who's still available here? Quentin Johnston. It's got to be Quentin Johnston.
Quentin Johnston gives them a wide receiver who's not 5'10",
exactly.
Which is something they really need.
If he's there for them, that just makes a ton of sense.
Was that the Giants? Was that the Giants pick?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, play the Kenny Galladay role that Kenny Galladay never played.
Yeah, do they still have?
He can just stand there.
Hodgins, is Hodgins still there? He played.
Yeah, man.
Decent.
I like Hodgins, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what his true fantasy upside or value is, but I like him as a kind of deeper flex, depth option.
Former Beaver, Oregon State.
Well, I just brought in Johnston to ruin all of that.
All right, Justin, I'm going to let you pick for the Cowboys, but first I'm going to introduce our final addition to the stream for tonight, and that is the man I just added and removed and added again to the stream, at FF Mad Jester, the one of the newest members of the Undroppables crew. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm super happy to be here. How's my mic?
It sounds great.
Fantastic.
I didn't even ask. I probably sound terrible.
Yeah, you sound good, man. You look good. You sound good, baby.
You sound better than Chalk. So
Everyone does. It's not very hard, bro.
all right, Justin.
I've probably talked to Chalk more than anybody else in the Undroppables crew, and it's nice to see what you actually look like.
I come out of the curtain, come out from behind the curtain every once in a while.
That's right.
Every once in a while, it's rare that he's on screen on camera.
Very, very rare.
I feel like I'm in that boat too. I like to be part of the draft stuff. This is fun.
Is this
All right, just to catch you up.
Sorry.
Yeah. But just to catch you up, we're doing a little mock just because we started out at 7 and it was just me and Duke, so we needed something to do. So we're trying to power through it right now. We got 5-6 picks here. Justin's going to take his hometown Dallas pick right here. Tell me who you want.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be tough. This is really going to be based on who falls where. I'd love Nolan Smith to fall here, pair his speed on one side with Micah's speed on the other side. Miles Murphy is a really good shot option there as well defensively. You know, obviously we need safety help, so Brian Branch is an option. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to, do we replace Zeke or do we replace Schultz? I kind of hope we don't replace Schultz. I'd love to see what Hendershot and Ferguson have. So for me, it's Jahmyr Gibbs here in this spot. But in my heart of hearts, I think they're going to go tight end here. So we'll see what happens. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the spot for this team.
I've been seeing that a lot lately, but isn't he kind of similar, but not as good as Pollard? Or is he better than Pollard?
So he's
I mean,
better
as a
than
runner, Pollard's a better runner.
Shoot.
Behind
I don't
the
know
tackle.
which one's better.
I think
mean,
Gibbs is definitely the
think-
better guy.
Either way, Pollard is completely sufficient, and there's no reason for them to take Gibbs this early when they can just get a pounder like Chase Brown, who does not, or Kenny McIntosh, who doesn't catch passes, and
But
just have
Roshan
him-
later.
Exactly. Yeah, Roshan they'd probably have to reach in the second. Well, I mean, yeah, I could see them wanting to balance out Pollard, and Gibbs doesn't do that.
Yeah, I can totally see what you're saying there. I think Gibbs is a beefier version of Pollard, in my honest opinion. But, you know, I'm the reason why I'm not hired by teams to make that decision. You know?
What's their size?
Gibbs is sub 200 for sure. I'm going to look
Yeah.
up Pollard real quick.
And when I say beefier, I
Saban.
don't mean size. I just mean in terms of overall ability and
So-
talent.
I mean,
No, Pollard's
Saban-
209 though. So
I'll
Yeah,
side
go
with Justin here because Pollard is on the franchise tag right now, and Jahmyr Gibbs is a hell of a running back. I understand they do a similar thing, but even with two undersized guys, there's still going to be enough of a discrepancy to their game that you're not just seeing the same running back on the field if you're playing on defense. Like, they're going to have subtleties to their game that are different. So it's still like a nice rotation. I think that might be a little overblown. I mean, unless one of them just doesn't know how to punch the ball into the end zone at the goal line.
I think that might be the case. I think if neither of them want to go between the tackles, if they're both very effective outside, it's kind of duplication right there.
What if they got Gibbs in the first round and Dwayne McBride in the 5th?
Why not just get Dwayne and wait for Pollard to come back?
Yeah, I mean, you still don't want to put running backs on the second contract.
Their line is getting a little older, and I could see them going Darnell Washington first round.
Yeah, that's the thing,
Ooh.
right? Well, Darnell Washington's
This is a
tight
blocking
end, right? Yeah, so like,
But he's a blocking tight end.
correct, and a big body, right? So he would be an option in the red zone. As a fan, I don't want to take a tight end, right? Unless his name is Michael Mayer, I don't want a tight end as a fan here, right? You know, in reality, I would have liked Quentin Johnson, but Duke just stole him for, obviously for the Giants. In more reality, I'd love Bijan Robinson to fall. But again, I also really like the idea of pairing defensively, and continuing to boost the defense.
So Jerry Jones probably has a say in this as well, and I feel like he likes to
Probably.
reach deep.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
all
like
to
he
say.
likes to reach deep for his stars. I don't know if he'd, just reach half a round for Gibbs or a couple picks for Gibbs. I feel like he would really like somebody that he can say, "Hey, look at this guy that I found in the fourth."
Yeah, I agree.
I just want to throw this out real quick. It's off subject, but just a news drop. Apparently, CJ Stroud is now by far the favorite to go number 2 again.
Thank you.
Maybe
Thank
all
you.
of it was just
It's all bullshit. Told
hearsay.
you. CJ Stroud, QB1, baby.
Got a rip.
All right, before we go any further, just real quick, Jester, do you have a favorite team? I don't want to steal. I don't want to steal a pick from you or anything.
That's okay. I live in New Orleans, so you
Okay.
can go next. I'll go next.
You'll have the Saints pick. All right, I'll take Josh Downs for the Bills real quick. I think it makes too much sense replacing Cole Beasley. I think they're very similar players, and Downs probably adds even more over the top ability than Beasley had, but has that same short area quickness, and will be really great with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen.
So I'll pick for the Bengals. I used to live in Cincinnati.
Can I take this?
Yeah.
Can I say what I?
Yeah.
Okay. To me, this lined up perfectly. They just lost Bates from the back end of their defense. Ryan Branch is definitely a difference maker back there. I think that him at the top of the board here is like a no-brainer.
Jester, what's your
opinion? Matt, I want to hear.
I'm just upset because I know that Dennis Allen and the Saints had offensive or the Saints head coach Dennis Allen is a defensive mind, and I know that he would have loved Brian Branch falling to him the next pick. So I'm upset about it personally.
Who would you have taken?
But it does make a ton of sense for the Bengals.
I wanted, just as a fantasy first player, I wanted to take Mixon out of there and replace him with Charbonnet. I think he's an all-around back. I think that they could just lean on him.
First round Sharp. That would set rookie drafts ablaze.
And
I very much
go ahead.
I very much think Bijan's going to be the only running back in the first round.
Could be. You're right.
I think Gibbs can sneak in there. Actually, Gibbs to Cincinnati, it could be a thing.
I'll be honest with you. I don't like the way they talked about what they needed. I think they said something like, we really need what we're looking for most is somebody who loves to do everything, every part of the game. We want to focus on pass protection, and we want to find somebody at the running back position who will do that and shows that he wants to do that, which I felt like was a direct attack at Gibbs because that's his only shortcoming is his I guess werewolfness and fortitude and persistence at pass protection. It seems like that's the only gap in his game is he doesn't care as much as he should, which makes me think he wouldn't be a great fit for them there. The Bengals.
That's some good
info. I think it's surprising that they want to move away from Mixon so much. I know the suspension is looming or whatever, but he is a really good back, and he's a complete back, even if they don't use him that way.
They definitely need to do, but they could move off him next year.
And I'm really surprised because he's a Sooner, and by default, he's the best in the league. You know what I mean? So,
gotta be, of course.
Of course.
So there was a little bit y'all talked about it a second ago that it gives the 5th-year option to be in the first round. That's why I could see them, even if they do love Mixon, he's on his second legal. What's the best way? What's the most diplomatic
battle?
Thank you. Sure. He's on his second legal battle for domestic violence, and he's 27 years old. He's definitely slowing down. If they want to get an extra year out of their running back, that's why I could see, maybe Mixon is great for another 6, 8, 16, 17, 21 games this year. We'll see. But if he's not, do you think they're going to lean on Jerome Ford for Super Bowl aspirations?
Chris Evans.
That dude, I forgot which stat I loved looking at him. I think it was something like he's got less than 4 fantasy points per year he's been in the league or something like that. You can love Chris Evans all you want to, but it's time to let him go.
I think that they might like Travion Williams as their 2 right now, but I don't think they like either of them as the 2. I think they
Jerome Ford is their 2nd right now in their depth chart.
He's on the Browns, right?
What's that?
Jerome Ford, isn't he on the Browns?
Yep, he sure is. I'm so sorry. That's right.
Elite fantasy analysis.
Hey man, it's those Ohio teams. We don't know what they're doing. They're wild cards. They switch back.
Yeah, Orange Ohio teams. It's all the same, except one of them is definitely much better than the other.
You're 100% right.
Is that the new guy? Oh man!
Oh my gosh!
Get him
I
out.
like how Tommy looks up.
Mad Jester fired on his first stream.
Hey man, I made it longer than I thought I would.
We got some Brady Bunch squares going on now. Hey,
Yeah, we are all over the place. I'm getting covered by the underdog logo.
Yeah,
But-
duck.
Just keep
Tommy.
Keep crouching.
Wait, Tommy. Who
What's
are
up,
the
dude?
Raiders taking, man?
Come on, Anthony Richardson. Haven't you seen?
Oh,
To the Raiders.
The
Yeah.
sources are out in full effect. I'm getting
Yo,
If the
I'm
Colts
getting
get Stroud,
texts,
I'm okay with it.
DMs. I don't know if it's smoke. I don't know if it's real, but I'm just
sources,
hearing
baby.
Who's their
Sources.
GM now?
Richardson.
Tommy Moser, GM.
I'm the GM.
Well, then I trust it finally for the first time ever. But who's been their GM?
It's the new. Isn't they get? Did they get a female? Who's the Raiders GM? No, Dave Ziegler.
She's like
No, she's the What is
operation VP of
she?
operations.
Yeah, it's Dave Ziegler.
So it's been the guy who got Leatherwood, but who was that?
Gruden.
Talking about
No.
Gruden and Mayock.
Mayock.
Before?
It was Mike Mayock.
Oh,
Is he still with them?
I
No,
forgot.
no, he's gone. Oh, he got
so we have a chance of like something decent this year. You know?
Because Mayock is gone. Because Mayock was just a franchise ruiner.
Mayock was way too full of himself. That
Yeah.
man thought he could find
Yes,
anybody.
His ego was too big. As an analyst, as a guy that could find rookie talent on ESPN, he was fantastic. And the first opportunity he had to run a team, he just and to be fair, he was literally, it was 2 egos. It was John Gruden and Mike Mayock's egos going at it the whole time. And no one like really agreed on stuff. And then John had final decision on a lot of things. So it just was bad. So I'm hoping it's good, but I don't know if I was on this stream or someone else's stream when they were like, let's CeeDee Lamb, let's go CeeDee Lamb the whole way. And I'm freaking pumped, and like it didn't happen.
Henry
So,
Ruggs.
yeah, I'm always cautiously optimistic, but
Dang.
I keep hearing
They
Rich.
raided a Jefferson pick with CeeDee Lamb, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
All right, Jester, you figure out who you want for the Saints here. And real quick, we have some news, not semi-draft related, not related today. But the Eagles and the Cardinals had a tampering investigation involving the hiring of former Philadelphia defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon as the Cardinals head coach. And they settled it with a trade where the Eagles traded pick 94 and a 2024 fifth for the Cardinals pick number 66.
Can you say that one more time?
Just the trade.
That was a lot, bro.
Start with the trade and
So,
tell us how it's
Apparently, the Cardinals cheated when they hired Jonathan Gannon from the Eagles, and so the Cardinals
So
are
they
giving
cheated
up.
to make a bad hire. Okay.
Yes, the Cardinals are now giving up pick number 66 to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is in turn giving them pick number 94 and next year's 5th round pick. So it's close to an even trade, but
Wait, who's in trouble?
That's what I'm
the
wondering.
Cardinals.
What happened?
But they get the higher pick out of it. Wait,
No, the Cardinals give up pick 66.
Cardinals
The
cheated
Eagles
because
get 66.
they tampered with the Eagles defensive coordinator, right? Who
Mhm.
they hired.
Correct.
So because of that, they basically traded the Eagles a pick, right? So the Eagles move up.
Yeah.
The Eagles basically move up
Could
for a
have
pick.
tampered with Shane Steichen instead, but they chose to tamper
no, the
with
Colts were already doing that.
Well, we don't get caught.
All right, let's finish these three picks in the
Nothing
next.
thought around the Colts.
All right, we got 3 minutes for 3 picks. That was a good burn. Jester, who are the Saints picking?
Can you scroll down a little bit?
Of
Nick,
course.
Chuck? Or who is it? Okay, stop.
It's me.
Stop.
Who? Who?
Where'd Bijan go in this mock?
I sent him to Philly at 10.
Nice.
Not necessarily because I think that's a smart thing for them to do. It's because he said he wanted to go there, and then Kirk Herbstreit adopted him. That's another story.
I like that. And then who picked A-Rich? Because y'all gave me shit when
The
I
Raiders. The Raiders.
No, I know. No, who picked the Raiders?
Oh, me.
To get him?
Me.
There we go. That's my boy.
My boy, the real Kyle Larson, man. The real one.
The real one. I swear to God, I saw the kid today, and I looked at him like, you're not a real Kyle Larson, dude.
You're a fraud.
You're a fraud. For the listeners out there, there's another Kyle Larson at my kid's school, right? And he's like in first grade or third grade or something, and he's just a fraud. Every time I see him, I just look at him and shake my head. You little fraud, you little thief, you identity thief. Where's the real one?
Wait, how old is this kid?
I think I'm trying to remember. I think he's in my son's first grade class, so I think he's like
First
7.
grade. Okay.
Yeah.
If some dad came up to me when I was in first grade and
Said, you're a fraud.
Call him the cops.
Mister, I don't even know you, sir. Oh, terrible.
Oh gosh.
But has a nice house though. His parents' house.
Okay. The Saints are getting Miles Murphy. The Eagles are getting they drafted, who did I pick earlier? Bijan. They'll get Anton Harrison, and then the Chiefs will get fucking
Stetson Bennett, baby.
Okay.
Stetson
In the first round?
Oh,
No, Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt, pick 31. There we go.
All right, that's
speed.
I mean,
he's not Tyreek 2.0, but he's fast.
he's fast. That's
One
about it.
direction. That's the difference between him and Tyreek. Tyreek can do anything in any direction at any time. And Nathaniel and was it not Tank Dell? Sorry, basically the same thing.
I'm
Jalen
sorry.
Hyatt can only go
I'm sorry.
forward.
Did Tyreek Hill ever catch 5 touchdowns against Alabama? I didn't think so.
First round, Tank Dell.
No, Jalen Hyatt.
Oh,
I could see it though because he would fill a need.
still first round Hyatt is.
They also have Tony and they have Sky Moore, who they both like, and they could be trying to just pop the cap off the back of the defense with Hyatt. I could see that. I don't love it for fantasy. In fact, I do love it for fantasy because he's going to be a landmine that I just avoid because he's just going to be a pumped up Mecole Hardman that I would love to watch other people take instead of me at the end of the first.
Did we mock 6 first round wide receivers?
Oh my
Probably.
God.
That's
Yes.
not happening.
Is this a fantasy group here?
Yeah.
We're obviously fantasy guys.
We're just
Obviously.
drafting fantasy.
Obviously, because Will Levis went 12.
Ugh.
Yeah.
We're smarter than the NFL.
Oh,
We
God.
would have sent him more, but it was the Texans picking. So
I think as a general consensus, I mean I don't know with the rest of y'all, but I feel like generally we're off Will Levis. I think right as a brand, as a group, I think we're generally.
I think
off it.
everyone,
Yeah. As
except
an
for
analytical-
Kentucky fans.
as an
I'm just
analytical
kidding.
fantasy community, everybody's off of him.
I mean, just go look at the tweets I talk about the Will Levis. I'm getting hated on. People hate
I
me.
mean, yeah. Aside from traits, what's he really bringing to the table?
A cannon,
He could
ham
eat-
cannon.
Ham cannon. He could eat a banana whole,
Ooh,
That's a
skin
name.
and all.
skin and all. That was kind of weird, man. I was like, what are you
He
doing?
does weird stuff on social media.
That's fine.
Wait,
It's
that wasn't a joke, Chuck?
No,
He
It
can
was
eat a
real,
whole
though.
banana?
You didn't
He
see
ate
it?
a whole.
No,
he ate it,
I
man.
don't want to
It
see
was
it.
a-
Look,
It was a
at that.
brown.
No,
It was a
stop it.
brown.
No.
Brown banana.
Yeah.
Apparently,
ate-
the
he just
banana
ate it.
peel prevents cancer. something
No,
like that.
no, this dude's an online troll and he knows how to get himself exposure. So he puts mayonnaise in his coffee and then he eats brown bananas peel and all.
marketing
That's
scheme
what he
is
does.
good.
He ate the whole thing.
And he flexes in the mirror.
dumb.
He has the best
it's
marketing
smart.
team ever to push him up to like 2 overall. Like
You're not wrong. We're kidding, but it's not a joke. You're right.
Yeah. It's all smoke. Like it's all just
Yeah.
And Matt Waldman I forgot who he had on his podcast, but he was talking about just like how much just shit just gets come out, and it's all just smoke every single time, and it's because like the agents, that's the real point I was trying to make. Their agents do a good job of marketing these guys like a brand. And so their whole job as agents is to just get their name out there and get people talking about them, just so that hopefully one coach is like, oh, hey, let me pull the information on this guy and let me draft this guy because I just heard his name, he's ringing a bell, and like the numbers are fitting.
I think that makes
Speaking
sense
of-
for like
I'm with you
a
100%.
mid-tier prospect, but if you're a quarterback at the top of the draft, just act normal.
Speaking of agents and quarterbacks at the top of the draft, did you guys see an NFL agent who was not Anthony Richardson's agent today said that he will go higher than expected?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to Raiders.
Is the Raiders at 7 higher than expected?
I think people
Kind of.
expect him to
Seattle
go
at
to
5.
4.
I don't know if the
Seattle at
non-fantasy
5.
community is as high on English as we are.